Hi, Flank by Family. We are here today to give an introduction to how to choose the members of your personal advisory board. So this is the second in our three-part series. First part, we talked about what is a personal advisory board? How is it different than your network, or how is it different than your LinkedIn connections? So now we're going to talk about how you decide who's going to be in that small group of 6 to 10 people who are really going to be providing counsel, strategy, advice, sharing experience on this phase of your career journey. And it's important to note that it's for this phase, kind of the change you want to make, because there will be changes to your personal advisory board throughout your career, and that's okay. In fact, that's best practice, to keep it diverse and to keep it changing. So something to keep in mind is not everyone who got you here, who supported you to make all the progress that you've made to this date, is necessarily going to be on board for the next phase. And you don't have to formally disinvite them or anything like that, but just be open to thinking about possibilities of who can be on your board. And here's a few ways to think about it. Think about people that you admire, and not just people that you know in person or that you've interacted with in person. You can also think about thought leaders that you really admire as maybe a virtual board member seat. For me, that would be someone like Adam Grant or like Brené Brown. You can have them on your advisory board in sort of a philosophical capacity, but really think about, who do I admire? That's one frame to think about. Another is, who thinks differently than I do? The way that our family and friends support us is typically support, rah-rah encouragement. We're looking for people who are going to support us in a critical way, in a way that's feedback oriented, in a way that asks us to really think about the truth and to think in a logical way about our strategy, in addition to supporting us. So we want to think about who thinks differently than I do, who is different than me. So the last segment we talked about diversity. One thing I didn't mention last segment was diversity in age. So thinking about different generations being on your advisory board, there's value in having folks who are 10 years younger than you as much as there is having folks 10 years older than you. And then the last thing is, who has what I want? Who's living a life that I want? Who has the balance, or seems to have the balance, between a family and between work, and asking them how did they get it, and telling them that you admire them for that. And so those are some ways to think about, okay, who's on my advisory board? Someone I admire, someone who thinks differently than I do, someone who is different than me, and someone who has what I want. So we're going to be thinking now, as you exit this video, who stays, who goes, who's missing, as you ask all of those questions. And next time we'll come to you with a way to take some action to really invite people into this conversation and invite them to sit on your personal advisory board. So stay tuned for the next one.